Welcome back, my pack, my tribe, to Howling After Dark. Alright, um, first things first, thank you, Becca, for messaging that to me. Appreciate it. Um, but yeah, as you can see there's a map there. That's actually the map of the area around and of Rogues Hollow. Um, it's not really the depiction I was looking for, but it'll do. Um, the picture I saw, um, kind of, I think it was like depicting that supposed accident with the horse, and then like you could see like the town kind of like in the background or whatever. But there you have it. Anyways, on to Renville, which is in Perry County. Named after William P. Rend, who served during the Civil War and later moved to Chicago and founded what was to become a small empire of railroads and coal mines. Renville was born when he purchased a remote section of land in Perry County and began to develop coal mines. Rend built a general store, hotels, saloons, churches, and whatever else his workers needed. Renville flourished as a community and its population grew to 2,500. It wasn't the most orderly town in the early days, but by 1885, and as a result of the near collapse of the local economy, Renville got religion. Times were desperate. Businesses closed, including the mines. Prayer meetings were held, and people began to read their Bibles. The town survived until the Depression hit in 1929. The town's population slowly began to decrease, and by 1940, the decline was sufficient for all to notice. It would not recover. In the early 1980s, Renville lost its post office, and most of those that remained moved to larger cities. And under the section of remains, it says not a lot. So, and that sadly is it's common not only in Ohio but in a lot of states. Too many, really. There are states, so like Wyoming and Montana, that not only preserve the ghost towns, they make them part of the state park system, so that they're protected by law, which is kind of nice. So yeah. Anyway, so there's Renville, and then New Straitsville, also in Perry County, referred to as the bootleg capital of Ohio. A little interesting side note there. New Straitsville was founded in 1870 by the New Straitsville Mining Company. 10 years later, its population exceeded 4,000. Unlike Santoy, the town was filled mostly with people of English descent. In 1884, the unions and the company clashed over wages and work in the coal mines of New Straitsville stopped. A group of radical union members, angry over the long strike, put timbers in bank cars, soaked them with oil, set them afire, and rolled them into the mine. When the fire was discovered days later, it was uncontrollable. It is said that the fire covered 241 acres under the three counties and damaged the local coal industry for years. The fires have continued to burn ever since. Some have brewed instant coffee in the hot water from the wells and heated school lunches in steam rising from cracks in the highways. $50 million worth of coal lost by 1880s estimates. Today, the town is one of those well-worn communities that struggles to keep up with the fast pace of technology, but the region's industrial presence is fast disappearing. So they're not quite a ghost town yet, but they're right on the verge. And then we've got Melco, which is in Ashland County. It was opened in the 1920s, closed about 1950, had several homes constructed by federal government, possibly during the Great Depression or during government control of railroads. Site of a horrible train wreck on Pennsylvania Railroad main line in mid-1940s that killed many soldiers on their way home from the war. Steam engines took water there, famous for having a trough for Penzies take it on the fly method, which, if that is what I think it is, means that they took water while they were still moving. I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert on railroad history, but in any case, it says update. Actually, the train wreck was outside of Milko by about a mile and is attributed to the town of Coulter. So, that's good to know. Let's see. Huntersville in Hardin County, Ohio. At first was a trading post for Indian and trappers before it was plotted and settlers moved in the early 1800s. Then was a good-sized town with 3 grocery stores, a school, blacksmith shop, doctor, and dentist office. Railroad went 3 miles south at the edge of Black Swamp, and the town disappeared. That's all it says. In comments, not much to see, just an abandoned park area that is being cleaned up by the state. Wow. Anyways, there's a few more, but we're going to move south central Ohio. We've got Black Fork, Hatfield's Crossing. That's right, Hatfield. A town called Knockem Stiff. They had a lot of humor with some of these town names, I'm telling you. The famous Moonville, Sabina, Santoy, and Utopia. So, let's go ahead and do Moonville because this is, it's semi-famous now, because, there was one TV show I know for sure went there. I think it was My Ghost Story. Um, it's in Vinton County. It's Moonville is famous for its haunted railroad tunnel, which is an impressive piece of history, if nothing else. Um, you can actually find more about Moonville on ForgottenOhio.com. Um, Access to Moonville requires walking down the gravel path of some removed railroad tracks from where you can park on the road and then crossing the creek on foot. All that remains is the haunted Moonville Tunnel foundations. So the town itself is gone, the tunnel remains. And what's creepy is if you've ever even seen pictures of the Moonville Tunnel. Hold on. Let me try and find a picture of it. Real quick, yeah. Here we go. I'll go ahead and post this in chat too. Oh, too long a shot. Okay. Oh, jeez. Still scrolling back up. Okay. Do this the easy way. Alright. Let's try this again. But if you look at that, it's still like that tunnel face is like so weathered and worn, and yet Moonville is plain as day. That's just that fact alone is really kind of creepy. And then you add in the fact that, it's a well-known haunted location, and you know what happened to the town and everything. It's no wonder it's been on TV. But I'm not going to do all the ones in that section of Ohio. I wanted to skip to this one. Hatfield's Crossing. Located at intersection of the old Stagecoach Road and State Route 13, site of Hatfield's Mill, erected early 1800s and destroyed in 1903 flood. Abandoned after subsequent floods, the last surviving member of Hatfield's family committed suicide in the mid-60s there. No haunting reported. This is the second bridge south of Corning on State Route 13. Old Stagecoach Road is still in place and now known as Monroe Township Road 295. Now, here's an interesting little side note here. The reason it's called Hatfield's Crossing is because that's right, Hatfield and McCoys. One of the most famous family feuds in American history during the 1800s was the Hatfield and McCoys. They hated each other. They killed a lot of each other. And as kind of like the ultimate conclusion to that, they both kind of finally just got disgusted with all the fighting and left the area and went two different directions, and Hatfields ended up coming north to Ohio, and well, there you go. I don't think there was but one or two members of each clan left at that point. Um, but don't quote me on that. Admittedly need to brush up on that particular history, but um, yeah, it's crazy. And Becca says in chat, by the way, makes you wonder where they got those names for their towns. I think half of them were like made by like saloon owners with too much time on their hands, or whatever big man in town happened to have a sense of humor. You know, who knows? Like, some of those towns, like their names are just ridiculous. But let's look at Knock'em Stiff here, because I am kind of curious about that. Knock'em Stiff, otherwise known as Shady Glen, or Glen Shady, is a ghost town located in Ross County, Ohio. The origin of its name is in question, but most likely comes from a slang term for moonshine. Well, there you have it, Knock'em Stiff, moonshine. So, there were actually, believe it or not, like you say moonshine, almost everybody thinks of like the South, but Ohio was huge in the bootlegging industry in the 1930s because we were so close to like Pennsylvania, and like Pittsburgh is only 2 hour drive from here. Excuse me, hiccups. And then just up north is Detroit, and then kind of like northwest of us is Chicago, and like all that stuff. And so we were kind of like a hub for like the bootlegging industry. It was made here and distributed here, and some of the best bootleg racers back in the day, back during Prohibition in the 20s and 30s, were from Ohio. And actually quite a bit of NASCAR, by the way, was born out of the bootleggers, because they would kind of practice getting away from the law by racing each other, and that's kind of how it was born, in a roundabout kind of way. So just interesting little side note there. Let's see. So it's always been my goal. Well, our goal, I should say, our team's goal, to investigate a lot of these places and film them, and make them a part of the web series. Hence why it's called Forgotten Ghost Towns. But we've we're kind of stuck in this cycle for a long time of doing the same places all the time, and I think that's going to change. I think that's probably why things happen. Maybe this is what we needed to do. Of course, that's, my theory. Black Fork. Just off of State Route 93 south of Oak Hill, Ohio, was an old fire brick manufacturing town. Residents worked at the local brickyards, shopped at the company store, and paid in company script, usable only by the company. Population in the town was approximately 150 people. All that remains is an old theater foundation, some railroad tracks, and some other stuff. Once had 3,000 residents. Pretty interesting. It's in Lawrence County, by the way. So that's Black Fork. And that's pretty much it for Central Ohio. And then Eastern Ohio, we have, let's see, Bluestone. Wait, no, that can't be right. Oh, no, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Or AI, I guess it's called, Baldwin, Beagle, Signet, New Boston, Rockport, Monroe Township. And that's all, the northeastern. Then the central eastern, we've got Dull, Marl City, Providence, Tadmore, which we've already read about when I clicked the thing for Toots Corners, which I don't understand, but okay. And then southeastern, or southwestern, I mean. It's all western, by the way. Southwestern, we've got Blue Ball, which I don't think I'd want to live there, just based on the name. Busen Bark, I think I'm saying that right. Glenmore, Hamilton, and Rialto, and Shum. Some of these names, I'm telling you. Before I get into all that, I want to see how much time I got left. 1 second. About 20 minutes. Alright, so let's draw one out of the hat, as it were. And I think we'll go with Rialto. Good choice. Rialto is in Butler County. The Miami and Erie Canal made Cincinnati a major American city. While the canal increased Cincinnati's commerce, it also created typical new towns like Rialto, which grew out of special needs along the route of the canal. Rialto was typical of many smaller towns. One factory, one hope. A paper company built a one-story factory, water tower, a warehouse, and a dozen wooden houses for its workers in Rialto. Today, only one of 4 houses is left. It sits next to the empty canal. It's an unusual sight, for it looks as if a house was built next to a dried-up river. The town is now the last outpost of the 19th century in Union Township. So there you have it. There's Rialto. And then let's see. Let's do Central. We'll do Dull. And that's spelled dull, like as in boring. Also called Dull Town. The community was settled in 1879 by farmer J. Monroe Dull. It soon developed into a town with a dozen homes, a general store, a blacksmith shop, a post office, sawmill, and a train station. The Dull family still lives in the area today, and most call it Dulltown. A few buildings still remain. Alright, now let's look at I, or AI. The town was named AI after a town in the Bible. Excuse me. Ugh. Sorry about that. Little piece of something went down the wrong pipe. Anyways, as I was saying, the town was named Ai after a town in the Bible that was full of sin. Because at one time it had 7 bars, saloons. Businesses had no reason to come to or stay in Ai. After the train tracks were built through a neighboring town, the town was mostly agricultural. What remains today is the old school, which is now a residence, grain elevator, old store, gas station, a few residences, and the cemetery. Wow. Just wow. Okay, and this is just the ones this website is listing for Ohio. This isn't even close to all of them. And some states are better at this than others and have more to deal with than we do. The state of California alone, I counted them just on this website, has over 250 ghost towns that are registered with this page, which is an official site and is recognized by the government and everybody dealing with ghost towns as a part of the God, I'm having brain fart. Visitors Bureau. 250. That's just the ones that they know about. There could be like thousands. And that's kind of an interesting little tidbit there for you too, is that wow, somebody's driving like an idiot outside right now. Anyways, interesting little tidbit for you there too is that like these ghost towns are everywhere. They're literally everywhere. Chances are, no matter where you live, you're probably within like a short drive, at least, to a ghost town. And in most cases, you're probably living right on top of one. Yet when a large chunk of the paranormal community looks for a place to ghost hunt, they don't even consider these places for some reason. I don't understand really why more people don't check them out. Yeah, no kidding, Becca. That would be really nice. We're working on doing something there at one ghost town that I don't want to name on the air right now. But if we get it, it should definitely be interesting. But yeah, these these towns are just, it's kind of impressive how some of these states treat these towns too. Like, like I already showed you a picture of what kind of like the typical ghost town looks like in Ohio, but let me show you like a typical. This is a typical ghost town in the state of Montana. If it'll post, that is. Yeah. That's typical of Montana. Or let's look at another state, let's see, we'll pick at random here. Yeah, let's do like New Mexico. Right. Got our New Mexico. Let's try this one. Nope. Nope. Where's the ones with the pictures? Or I could just do it like this. Here we go. This is kind of typical for New Mexico, which, granted, isn't as great as the image I just showed you, but it's still a lot better than what we got here in Ohio. Just to be, completely blunt about it. It's not fully intact, but it's intact enough that you can tell that something was there. And probably with a little bit of investigation, you can figure out exactly what. If it was a post office or a bar or a barber shop or, what have you. It still very much denotes, like, the Old West, too. Because, this type of building was kind of typical for, New Mexico and Arizona back then, because it was all, like, there's a difference between adobe and adobe brick, and like the Navajo and the Apache and the Comanche and all them, they did just adobe, which is kind of a different thing. But the white settlers, a lot of them built with like adobe brick, and because they figured out that it was easy to mold, but it would be much easier to carry in small doses of brick, as it were, and mortar, and they could build wherever they wanted with very little hassle. So yeah, this is definitely very typical of New Mexico. However, Um, this that I'm about to post is also very typical of New Mexico. Okay, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but instead of just showing the picture, but whatever. Anyhow, so it just shows that some states, probably due to legislation as well as resources and funding, um, kind of dictates how well they treat their historic ghost towns. Some are, of course, much better off than others. I imagine California does quite well because they are, per capita, one of the wealthier states. So, I imagine their towns are pretty well put together. I do know of one, um, sort of within a modern day town, is Old Town San Diego, which is so beautifully preserved and put to use on an everyday basis that it's really kind of impressive when you think about it. All right, folks, I've got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to do one more. Um, let's do a different state. Let's do Colorado. I've done Colorado. And Colorado is actually one of the few. I don't know how well they treat their ghost towns, even though I have family that live in Colorado. Um, Let me try and find. Let's try Colorado. Huh. That's interesting. I just saw that. I didn't click the link, but I just saw that you can actually buy a ghost town in Colorado. But um, evidently, just looking at these pictures, it looks as if this is typical of Colorado. So, there you go. Um, kind of interesting. And then you have even older ghost towns than the 1800s. You have there's ghost towns all over the world. There's ghost towns just right next door, so to speak, in Pennsylvania that even predate, this being uh, a country. In the eyes of the world, it was still just a British colony. And there's, places that were already ghost towns prior, or rather before that, before the British ever even really came here in force like they did. When it was just, the first settlers that came into this part of the country. Even before the American Revolutionary War. Or rather, I shouldn't say that. It more like before it really kicked off. Because like what a lot of people don't know is like the American Revolution actually started like long before what most history books tell you, or what most people think, because they think it, kind of started and ended in 1776, and that's just absolutely not true. Um, Believe it or not, it was actually one of the longest wars we've ever had. All right, I've only got about 30 seconds, folks, so I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you all for tuning in. Tune in next week. It's going to be some good stuff. I'm hoping we're going to be able to do an investigation, probably just somewhere local, like this Saturday, and have EVPs to play for you on Monday's show. So until next time, my pack, my tribe, peace out.